Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome into Dom Time. That graphic that you see doesn't tell the full tale. That's what happened in Pennsylvania on Election Day. Not quite within the margin of error, but Mitt Romney did a lot better. John McCain lost by 10.3%. But the figures I have in front of me are staggering. Philadelphia gave approximately a 466,000 vote margin, roughly 467,000 vote margin to President Obama. I heard some local Democrats bragging that they did even better in Philadelphia for President Obama than the Democrats did in Chicago, President Obama's hometown, with a bigger majority. You can't win the rest of the state if that's the case. All right, let's go to another caller. Let's go to Marge. Marge, you're with Dom Giordano and Miguel here on Dom Time. Hi, Marge.
Hi, Dom. I just don't understand how people that come here illegally expect to get on the path to amnesty when they've broken our laws. They're getting all the advantages that they should not have, and they're demanding things that American citizens don't even get. I don't get they're just so arrogant.
Wait a minute, Marge. All right. Miguel doesn't strike me as that, but Miguel, you heard Marge. This is the reaction. And Republicans face this yin and yang. If they go too far in moving toward this as a threshold issue with amnesty or path to citizenship, people like Marge say, count me out. A lot of white voters sat home in places like Pennsylvania this time around because they thought Romney wasn't engaging them.
Right. I mean, here's the interesting thing, Don. I think that everybody, when they speak about Latinos, they forget that there is a constituency who is a USA citizen and who are engaged in this process, which is the Puerto Rican community. If you speak to Puerto Ricans, right, the immigration discussion is a discussion that not many Puerto Ricans are engaged because they're USA citizens by birth. And so when we go back and start looking at this discussion, when people say Latinos, and they say Latinos are probably the folks who are driving this, we also need to recognize that there are also a pocket within the Latinos who is also being attacked for no reason whatsoever.
All right, let me take another caller for you, Miguel, here on Dom Time. Let's go to Tom in Rosemont. Hey, Tom, good evening. Go right ahead.
Good evening, Dom. I will trade a Spanish-speaking landscaper for every Democrat in my neighborhood. I will gladly vote for an Hispanic lesbian atheist to get the White House back. Enough of the identity politics. We have got to start winning the White House, and we have to find a way to do it that keeps us true to our principles.
Well, is that true to principles, though, to cave in on this? You heard the last caller, Tom.
No. I'm not saying cave in. If it takes 10 years, if it takes 15 years, but we have to find some common ground with the people who are citizens. And I'm serious. I'll move my Democrat teacher neighbor right out next door. I'll bring in 10 illegals, and we'll be glad to put them on a path to citizenship.
All righty, Tom. Thanks very much. Miguel, there are differences, though. Cuban Americans, I know I have the statistic here. Cuban Americans went this time 58-42 for Romney, which I thought they would go even higher. Cuban Americans, they are more conservative because of Castro and because of Cuba and fleeing that. And Marco Rubio is certainly the hero. Go through any of the groups and just give us a thumbnail to your sense of it. Puerto Rican voters, where do they come out on this?
So, as you saw in the case of Florida, a lot of folks expected Florida
they were the winning.
They were
right.
They were the ones who sort of pushed and tipped it over. The other group is the Mexican community. If you take a look at the West Coast, then you have the Cuban community who are mostly in Florida and in Texas. And then you sort of span through that. But the other thing is that it's interesting is that when you talk about the Cuban American, the young Cuban Americans have disconnected from the Republican Party. And I don't know what happened in that conversation.
You just said the magic word, disconnect from the Republican Party. I would say from reality. Let's look at the New Jersey results. We have the New Jersey results here from the election cycle 2012. And just as I mean, some of these places, Camden County and places like that, it's a landslide. Yet Governor Christie, your take on Governor Christie, who, I was a big defender of, but I think I have soured on a bit. The big guy can still come here. He can sit right where you are, and he can do the show with me, and I'll unsour. I'll sweeten pretty quickly here around it. But what did you think of what he did during hurricane? I mean, his leadership was tremendous. But I mean, his take on I'm not a politician, why are you worrying that I'm gushing here with Bruce Springsteen and the president was a bit much.
That's a very interesting thing. I think that I enjoyed the governor on his leadership, and I think that that's not in question. I think that what was in question was that not so-called endorsement that he sort of gave Obama. And that's to be debated. I think that a lot of people.
Come on, you got to take a position. This is the show where you take a position. You don't get out of here alive, Miguel. What side do you come down on?
Well, you know what? I would say that I really enjoyed the leadership of the governor.
What office are you running for in New Jersey in the future? I'll take that as you like the governor. Okay. Hey, Miguel, thank you very much. Thanks for the insight tonight. Thanks for some of the stuff that you broke down. It's a start toward that. And Republicans, certainly, we have a lot of work to do, 71 to 27. Yes. Miguel A. Concepcion Thomas, Pennsylvania Chair, National Congress of Puerto Rican Rights. Coming up, the thing that I wait for each week here on Dom Time, my take, my timeout, General David Petraeus. I'll tell you my 7 interviews and running with the general and where I think this goes tonight. That's next here on Dom Time. Hey everyone, welcome back to Dom Time, our closing minute or so with me this week. A very, very disappointed Dom Giordano sat in. I interviewed General David Petraeus 7 times. The last time on Memorial Day when he movingly talked about his wife to me. I ran with the general, had to kind of fib and say I can run a mile in 8 minutes and 30 seconds. And then I sat there, even though I'm not a coffee drinker in his kitchen, as he made cup after cup of coffee. He is the most brilliant, impressive guy, and this tawdry affair will not change my mind about that, given what he's done and what he's sacrificed for the country. The bottom line tonight, though, is this is just another example of the difficulty people face, and the recklessness of some of this seems to be out of character for General Petraeus. Bottom line is this: later this week, he must testify about Benghazi, about Libya, and I hope that he's able to pull himself together, put that credibility forward again, and I hope he's able to reconstruct his life, because still to me, despite this being tarnished, he is one of our greatest living Americans. My name is Dom Giordano. I'll see you next week at 7 p.m. We'll take your calls and talk more. Have a great week.